Y'all, it's your man, Abuamerican. Hey, two different conversations that came together in one thing, and these two people aren't connected in any way, shape, or form, and so it's just amazing that these two concepts and ideals came together as one. Now, one was a conversation I was having with a woman, and I was telling her about male emotional and stoicism, and then another comment was made by a man who talked about his emotional stoicism that developed over time, which is similar to my situation. But anyway, this is what I said in the conversation. It kind of starts funny, so you just have to bear with me. I said, emotional stoicism is, this is the source of emotional stoicism in men who haven't forgotten it. And I can't really remember what the conversation was before that, so you'll have to forgive me. Or, like myself, when I was speaking about myself and specific to this woman, I had to learn it. A man wants to love his woman or women, if he's polygamous. And his love is real, and it is quite deep. Most men don't recognize this Most women don't recognize this because of how a man loves is significantly different than how a woman loves. So her ideals are not met by the way he displays his love. Nonetheless, his love is quite real, unquestionably real. Men are naturally suspicious of other men in regards to his woman, unless, like most men today, that natural suspicion has been socialized out of them. How we find this? It is socialized out of them. They are told they're insecure, or they're what's the word? Needy or something like this. But mate guarding is a real phenomenon in all species. So I continued. In order to fully release himself and his emotions to his woman, he needs to have as little doubt and suspicion as possible. If there is doubt, he protects himself and his emotional condition by way of emotional stoicism, as the emotional damage a man experiences is quite significant, and he must be at his best at all times due to the burden of performance placed upon him by family and society as a whole. And as we know, more cases than not, in a breakup, it is the man who commits suicide, not the woman. This is what happens when a man forgets his emotional stoicism. He gets damaged to the point of no repair, and he kills himself because he loses hope. It brings about a scarcity mindset in men that he shouldn't have. Anyway, continuing, I said, so when your man doesn't want you working with other men, it is because he would like to love you without opposing the restrictions of emotional stoicism upon himself in your regards. If you work with men, he will have no choice but to practice this built-in ability to cut off his emotions as a means of protecting himself. Now, this post was made recently, actually today, by a man, and I never discussed this topic with anyone other than her. He goes on to say, I'm not going to lie. I think the red pill ideology I've recently been exposed to by you beautiful brothers seems to have me turned into a cold-hearted, emotionalist dude. I haven't felt pity for a long time. Laughing out loud. I seem to have lost the gentle touch, too. I didn't even have an aggressive rage stage, meaning the red pill rage. Anybody else notice this in themselves? Is this normal and cool? My wife is suffering the most from this, as the unplugging obviously affects her a lot. This is obviously a man who, like myself, has learned emotional stoicism. And because society has taught men that they're supposed to be these touchy-feely, love women the same way that women love us type of guys, which really doesn't work. His wife is now suffering from that because she's used to like this ephemized, emasculated, weak type of guy who just puts his emotions on display for everybody. But no, it's actually made him stronger. And believe it or not, over time, hopefully, if she sticks it out, and if he's teaching her this stuff piecemeal, she'll come to realize that he's become a better husband and a man for it. But society teaches women and men the opposite of this. And I can only think that this is the intention, to make a group of weak, emotionally needy, independent men. And how does that benefit anybody? Because a man needs his emotional stoicism. And this is something I said in that conversation I was having to that woman. Later on, I just didn't record all that. I didn't save it, from that conversation. How would it help society or family if a man was emotionally attached or unable to detach himself from his emotions just like a woman? Why are heroes exclusively men? Almost exclusively. Because when push comes to shove, when he's looking at his family or his loved ones or his culture and his society, his religion, whatever else under attack, he's able to swallow his emotional condition and take action. Resolute, logical action, not emotional action. We see this problem in a lot of countries, unfortunately, in the Muslim world, where guys are just running around acting on emotion. And when they act on emotion, what's left behind? Chaos. They tear down one government structure, aka Arab Spring, and they have no structure in place because they reacted on emotion and not logic. Even though people of knowledge told them, stop, think, don't do this. But whatever. This is what happens when men lose emotional stoicism. You take action on emotions, and that's never good. Because what's the primary emotion that men deal with? Anger. Imagine if every man went out and acted on his emotion of anger. Every time he gets upset, frustrated, hurt, whatever else, he reacts with his anger. Bow! Starts going around just knocking people out. Society would be in chaos. And we see that in certain countries. Total chaos where men didn't act on logic and reason, but rather on emotion. Anyway, this is what the red pill does to you. It returns you back to your natural state. Emotional stoicism, and we need that. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone try and shame you into anything otherwise and tell you that, as a Muslim, you're supposed to be these touchy-feely guys. You don't see this, in the past. Show it to me. We are not supposed to be running around acting like women. Emotional stoicism is the natural disposition of men. If you find that that isn't the case, then maybe you need to get back to your natural state of masculinity. Anyway, this is just something I thought I found interesting, that, something that I discussed with someone and then someone else discussed, but I didn't discuss that with that person, came out, It shows that what I'm talking about isn't like just a bunch of BS. It's based on psychology, human behaviorism, sociology, anthropology. These are things that, especially women will argue about or argue against you with. But when we look at the realities, they're confirmed in the reality, not in these utopic ideas that we put in our heads, especially women. This is your man, Abuamerican. Catch me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all that. Abuamerican. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm out.